coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. What is Lamar Jackson's injury status? We break down the latest here on Bears Now. Also, the Bears injury report, some good, some not so good. It's getting crowded. We're going to talk about that. Plus, it's Coordinator Thursday. We heard from Dennis Allen, Declan Doyle, and Richard Hightower out at Hallis Hall. I take one thing that each of them spoke on and react to that later on in the show. My name is Harrison Graham. Our Week 8 subscriber battle continues with the Ravens rundown. And shout out to Bears fans. Shout out to the Bears Now gang here. We are embarrassing Joey Peterson and the Ravens rundown this week. Let's keep the train rolling. We've doubled them up, almost tripled them up in new subscribers this week. Let's do that. Subscribe, free Bears content. Let's take them down off the field so we can beat them on the field. We've won the sub battle during this 4-game winning streak. Just throwing that out there. Let's make it 5 in a row. Subscribe for free content. Okay. Here is the latest on Lamar Jackson. He was a limited participant for a second straight day. He was out there in a limited capacity for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, one more practice tomorrow. Friday's typically a light practice, more of a walkthrough before they get ready for the game on Sunday. Here's where I think this is heading. I think he's going to be limited again tomorrow, and he's going to be listed as questionable for Sunday, and he will likely play. I think he'll go through his typical pregame routine on Sunday. They'll test the hamstring, and if there's no setback, he will play. What I also think is true is he will not be 100% in this game. I think that much is clear, which probably limits what Todd Monken's going to be able to do in the playbook, because a big part of this Ravens offense is the threat of Lamar's legs. Now, Lamar has turned into a terrific passer. He can be a drop back guy. No one's saying he can't, but his threat to run on those read options, scrambles, stuff like that, it makes this offense from good to great. So even if he plays, I still think the Bears have a decent opportunity to limit just how effective he can be, especially as a runner. You know, I said earlier this week, this is not a game where you're hunting sacks. Well, if he's not able to move as much, maybe you can get a little bit more aggressive with your run game integrity. I'm sure Dennis Allen and the boys will test that early, and, you know, if he's moving around well and making guys miss, then maybe you kind of adjust that and more stick with your lane integrity. But I just think that he's got to play. I mean, the Ravens are 1-5. Cooper Rush has been terrible. You've got Tyler Huntley back in the fold, who's had some success with the Ravens in the past, but that's a major drop-off. If Lamar Jackson is 75, 80%, that's a huge upgrade over the other options they have. They have below-average backup quarterbacks. So I just think this is an empty-the-tank game for Baltimore. I've said it all week. It's why I picked them in a slight win over the Bears in my initial prediction. I reserve the right to change my prediction before kickoff, of course, but I don't think Lamar is going to be 100%, and that also is a benefit of the Bears if that is the case. But I've also said I want Lamar out there. I want to see how the Bears stack up against a desperate Ravens team that's getting healthy with Lamar, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, Ronnie Stanley. Let's see how the Bears stack up as a major underdog against a Super Bowl contender coming into this season on the road. I'm excited to see how it plays out, but I do think Lamar plays. Do you? Do you think Lamar Jackson will play on Sunday? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I do think he plays. I also think he's not going to be 100% for this contest. Real quick on the injury report, not much to report for Baltimore. Their guys are healthy, the guys that aren't on IR. DeAndre Hopkins has an illness that something might be going around, as Marlon Humphrey was dealing with something yesterday. He was back at practice today, but everybody else there is full when it comes to their guys. Roquan full go, Pat Ricard full go as well. Kyle Hamilton, who was listed as limited yesterday, he was full. So I expect most of their key guys to be available. I mean, obviously, Matty Bike is out for the year, but I expect Baltimore to play better on defense, and I expect Lamar to go out there and give it a go. Also, some quick Ravens news that maybe impacts Sunday. I'm not sure if he'll play. The Ravens are going to sign edge rusher Carl Lawson after working him out. He had 5 sacks last year with Dallas and was waiting for the right opportunity, and their edge position has not been very strong, and they're pretty thin there right now. And Mike Green, the rookie out of Marshall, has not been off to a good start. He's a vet. Like, could he play on short notice? Like, it wouldn't completely shock me. So we'll see. That could be something to keep an eye on for this game on Sunday. Okay, let's shift over to the Bears here, as 9 players for Chicago were either limited or did not practice today. We'll start with the guys who did not practice here. Braxton Jones with the knee. And a note there, he was limited yesterday, and that was coming after being benched and not playing the last 2 weeks. That tells me he likely got hurt in yesterday's practice because he didn't practice today. So he probably started yesterday's practice full go, no restrictions, got banged up, didn't practice today. He's not a starter, but he's kind of a key backup, and there's been trade buzz around him. How does it impact that? We don't know the severity of the injury. We'll see if he practices tomorrow. Roschon Johnson, DNP again with the back. Same with Cole Kmet, Tyrique Stevenson, DNP. Obviously, both those players left last week's game with that back, with that shoulder injury. Joe Thuney with a rest day. They might start working some of those in for him as he is a little bit of an older player, but he's been awesome. I'm not worried about his situation, and if he skips a practice every once in a while. Tomorrow will be big for Stevenson and Kmet. If Roschon's out, he's out. You got Travis Homer who can do the special team stuff. Not too worried about that. But Tyrique Stevenson, who has really elevated his game, has played like a CB1 without Jalen Johnson. And Cole Kmet, who you've got Colston Loveland, who could be poised for a breakout game here, especially if Kmet is out. But, you'd rather have Cole Kmet available, let's be honest. So that is the latest on that. I think tomorrow will dictate a lot on their situations heading into this game. Okay, more injury stuff to discuss in just a moment, but do got to tell you about today's sponsor. That is PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but being right on PrizePicks can get you paid. Don't miss any of the action this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Hit my last lineup back in the winning column. Hopefully that continues for your boy here, as I've had a pretty good season with PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to take more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can right now only on PrizePicks in one individual lineup. How about a 3-player lineup for tonight's game? I got Aaron Jones more than 13.5 receiving yards. The Vikings have activated him. He could do that on 1 catch, if not 2. I think Carson Wentz is going to dump it off a lot tonight, so I like that. More on Justin Jefferson's receiving yards. He was a little quiet last week, so I think he's going to get a lot of action. And then Quentin Johnston scored a lot of touchdowns so far this year. Demon play to find the end zone. Love that. $20 lineup to win $120 on this 3-player lineup. That's an example of a lineup. Pick more, pick less on 2 to 6-player lineups. You hit, you're good to go. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Okay, the following players were limited. Good news, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, who did not practice yesterday, they were limited. I think they're kind of just managing some very minor deals right now. So early in the week, you're seeing these guys not do much, but as the week progresses, they're getting out there, so that's a good sign. Kyler Gordon and Tremaine Edmunds, though, new additions today. Gordon obviously missed the first month with the hamstring, groin, calf. That always makes you nervous. He's had soft tissue problems at various moments in his career. And then Tremaine Edmunds, who's been terrific, dealing with an ankle. I'm not too concerned about that one. A, it's not a soft tissue. B, durability has not been a concern with him. But with Gordon, calf, groin, the soft tissue stuff, you always get a little bit worried about that. So I'm keeping an eye on that. And with those being new additions today, too, kind of to circle back to the Braxton Jones, you wonder, did they get banged up today? Did they start the practice well, then not finish it? So I think tomorrow's injury report, especially for those 2 players, will be very indicative of what their situations are. Hopefully both will play. Don't have any reason to think they won't, but that is where things sit right now. And then the following were full participants. Grady Jarrett, I think it's safe to say he'll be back on Sunday, which is a good sign. Wasn't playing great before the injury, but nice to have another defensive tackle option out there. Nahshon Wright, it's a great sign. Even though he's been up and down, you might be without Tyrique Stevenson, so you need Nahshon Wright on the field. Looks like he's going to be fine. Cairo Santos, full participant. More on him in a second. Obviously, this kicker situation is getting pretty interesting. And then, again, Austin Booker, Amon Ogbongbemiga, Booker in that 3rd week of his practice window. I went back and checked. He got that 21-day window started October 7th. Today is the 23rd. So technically they have till next Tuesday, so they could wait. But if they're going to activate him, it probably has to be by next Monday or Tuesday. So for sure by next Tuesday. So I still think if they do it, they're going to activate him this week and he's going to play in this game. But we'll have to wait and see. And then Amon, he's got a little bit more time. He's just in the second week of that 3-week window that opened last week. But we'll see if they activate him this week or not. Is Cairo Santos back? That is the question, as this kicker conversation has been a bit of a polarizing one amongst the fan base. You know, I've been pretty clear. After that first game, I was like, I still think Cairo's the kicker, but obviously a hell of a story and nice to have Jake Moody in the fold developing on the practice squad. After the second game, you're like, okay, like, you know, we haven't seen Moody in a long-range situation, which is obviously where he can separate from Santos because he's got a bigger leg. None of the kicks he made on Sunday are ones you wouldn't expect Santos to make. I think his long was 39, but he's 8 for 9 in 2 games. So what do you do? Because if you're the Bears, you do have one more elevation off the practice squad for Jake Moody. Now, you could look at this 2 ways. One, you could save that, keep him on the practice squad, and if Santos struggles for whatever reason or, you know, retweaks the injury, well, you could elevate Moody for one more week without having to put him on the 53. Or on the other end of the spectrum, and this is something I said yesterday, and I kind of still believe it, unless Cairo's fully 100%, why not elevate Moody one more time? You've got one more. See how he kicks on the road in Baltimore, and then make a decision next week. Because there is a world where you've kind of halfway lucked into Jake Moody being your long-term answer. He's 25 years old. He's got a big leg. By the way, and Richard Hightower made this point. We'll get to this a little bit later, but he kicked at Michigan. He can kick in elements, which is really critical to have a big leg kicker to do that. Now, obviously, more importantly, you got to be consistent and accurate, which is what Santos provides. But I still would like to see Moody kick this week and then just see, like, does he string together 3 really good games in a row? Because then I'm kind of intrigued. At the same time, you trust Cairo on kicks where he's in range. He's been rock solid. Obviously, his limitations are long range, and he's a little bit older. So I see both sides of it, but going to be interesting to see how they manage this and what his game designation will be tomorrow heading into this game. Who do you guys think kicks on Sunday? You think it's Cairo Santos type CS, Jake Moody type JM? Seems to be trending towards Santos, but I'm guessing this will be something Ben Johnson's asked about tomorrow as well. So if we get a major development on Friday, we'll have an update for you guys. We'll end with the coordinator stuff. Want to hit on one talking point that each coordinator discussed. Declan Doyle was asked about the Colston Loveland OPI, which clearly wasn't OPI. And in terms of, like, what's your guys' teaching points? Do you have to make any adjustments? Did you guys hear anything from the league? Because if you guys didn't know, teams send in plays each week based on officiating to get feedback from, like, hey, this is why it was called, or hey, we made a mistake on this call. Thanks for sending that in. We'll try to be better, yada, yada, that whole thing. Here's what Declan said when asked about the OPI call. He says, we always want to reach out to the league and figure out if we can teach that better. We're teaching it the right way, and we're going to continue to teach it that way. So that's my answer to that one. That's a workaround answer to not call out officiating because he doesn't want to get fined. If you clearly call out officiating, the league's going to fine you. In other words, they got feedback, hey, oops, bad call on our part. So that's what he's saying there. So it's unfortunate the Bears, the last 2 weeks in particular, really does seem like they've been on the wrong end of some, I don't even know if questionable is the right word. I think bad calls, but all you can do is send them in and get the feedback, and clearly they got feedback on that one that, yeah, that was not a Colston Loveland or a you guys coaching it wrong mistake. That was a mistake on our part. And speaking of Loveland, Declan talked about him a little bit more. They really like where he's at and what he's doing. And with Cole Kmet banged up, even if he plays, probably on a limited snap count, I still, especially hearing Ben Johnson's comments yesterday, I think the breakout game's coming because he's blocking his ass off. No block, no rock. He's blocking really well. He's getting open on some plays. Ben was talking yesterday. There's a lot of mouths to feed. I think 84's big game is coming soon. Maybe it's Sunday. At some point, it's happening because he's putting in the work. He's doing good things. and those type of things get rewarded at some point. So don't sell your stock on Colston Loveland. I think a good stretch could be coming here. Okay, Dennis Allen, he was obviously asked about, getting revenge on the Saints, all that stuff. And here's what he had to say. He said, yeah, it was cool winning, getting the game ball. It felt good at the time. Certainly one I wanted to get. But in this league, you don't have a chance to sit and reflect. And we've moved on to Baltimore. And, I think this coaching staff's done a really good job of just kind of staying in the moment and understanding the task. Like, hey, we just won a game. We're fired up in the locker room. We're having our fun. You wake up the next day, especially for the coaches, maybe for the players, it's not till Monday night, Tuesday morning, but it's time to turn the page. And I think this coaching staff has done a good job of being serious, being critical, harping on the details, rewarding you when you win, when good things happen, but understanding, hey, there's another game next week. So I just think in general, what a hire this has been. I said it at the time. If Ben Johnson hits as a head coach, Dennis Allen could be this team's version of Steve Spagnuolo. Not necessarily as good as Steve Spagnuolo. He's considered one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. But what I mean is Dennis Allen's not getting a third head coaching job. Defensive guys don't get a third chance. You never say never, but I'd say that's very unlikely. He could be here for 10 years if Ben Johnson's the long-term answer. And what a luxury that is for continuity, just for him being good at what he does. His defense seemingly continues to evolve. He's very exotic, especially on the back end, and I think that's evident with the amount of interceptions they've been able to get despite a lack of a pass rush. Full segment on that coming up on the channel, by the way. But really exciting to see what he's doing with this defense so far. And then lastly, Richard Hightower. He talked on a few things, had some good stuff on Travis Homer about his leadership and his value to this team, but also on Jake Moody. I alluded to this earlier. Credit CHGO Bears for kind of paraphrasing and tweeting this out a little bit earlier. Again, just what a smart coaching staff this is. He said they found some time last week to get Jake Moody out to Soldier Field before the game on Sunday. A, it's always a tough stadium to kick in, and B, rainy conditions were around the corner, windy. So to get him out there and kind of get a feel for the kicking surface, they were able to find a time for him to get some reps in there. And also Hightower kind of mentioned that, hey, he's a cold weather kicker, kicked at Michigan, obviously. But Moody's been a great story. He's 8 for 9 on kicks. He was 4 for 4 at Soldier Field on Sunday. He's made all his extra points. 8 for 9 in tough conditions, because remember, Washington, not exactly an easy stadium to kick in either. And it was windy and rainy in that game as well. And he only missed the one kick, which was blocked. Now, I do think that was a low-flighted kick. I don't think he helped himself out at all. But the point is he's been pretty steady in two not so ideal kicking situations. So again, this kicker discussion, I think it's a little ongoing. Tomorrow's going to be interesting to see if Cairo has an injury designation or not for Sunday, and to see who they kick in this ball game, because Jake Moody's been a bit of a revelation so far. Small sample size, but really good results. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Friday, big day on the injury front. We'll probably have an episode from my house as I am off tomorrow, but I want to get you guys up to date on Lamar and everything. So assuming there's significant news, we will have that covered. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Bear down.